Welcome back to Tuesdays with Paula. This is Paula K Bronte. I'm a Master Rapid Eye Technician. And the topic today, as you may have seen in the post earlier, is how to change your relationships in less than 10 seconds. Sounds like a tall order, right? Well, let me ask you this question. Have you ever noticed, because you do it every day, you change relationships with yourself, your loved ones, everything in your environment every day in less than 10 seconds. Have you ever noticed you may be talking to your husband or your spouse or your significant other, your wife, and all of a sudden things go south. She's angry, she's withdrawn, or he becomes distant, and it happened just like that, and you can't figure out why. And maybe you have the kind of communication where you can notice and say, okay, what just happened? And they may not know what happened either. Well, I have a great, interesting, fun, synchronistic story to tell you that'll explain that. I love synchronicities. Last week, we talked about how words can cause you to feel differently. We talked quite a bit about how words feel and to start noticing how specific words will cause you to have a response on a visceral feeling level. Well, that was Tuesday. The very next day, Wednesday, I went to see Lynn Christian of Soul Salt Inc. She is an amazing business coach. You may have seen her a few weeks back. She and I did a Facebook Live together. She's very fun to watch. And we were having our appointment, and she started telling me about something called Conversational Intelligence, about how in 0.7 seconds we can change how we feel, or how someone else feels by the use of a word. And the back of the base of the brain, there's the amygdala and the limbic system. Right? We're doing some wonderful things now, really learning leaps and bounds about neuroscience. And Lynn happens to be in a neuroscience class right now, so she's learning all these fun things. The base of the brain, there's the limbic center, and the umbilic, right there. And at the front of the brain, we have the prefrontal cortex and the frontal cortex. And the limbic center in the back, which happens to be a big part of what we work with in Rapid Eye, and the amygdala as well, they hold the heavier, denser, more negative feelings and thoughts. So when we're angry or withdrawn or in grief or a number of those feelings, the contracting kind of thoughts and experiences are triggered back there at the amygdala and the limbic at the base of the brain. When we're in the prefrontal cortex, and especially the frontal cortex, we're expansive, we're more in joy, we're more alive, we're more attuned to the environment and attuned with our senses. And we can actually toggle from those lower vibratory feelings at the amygdala in the back of the brain to the prefrontal or the frontal cortex in 0.7 seconds. And we do it with a word. So this is the synchronicity. I love it. So I talked to you Tuesday about how to notice how words feel, but I really didn't know why they can feel so different, except for the vibrational piece of it. And the very next day, Lynn just spontaneously starts to explain what I had talked about on Tuesday. And that is that if you change a word, one word, and a sentence is even better, that takes you from that back of the brain, the amygdala and the limbic, up to the prefrontal and frontal cortex. 0.7 seconds, you can change how you feel. So it's being called conversational intelligence, because when you're having a conversation with someone and you suddenly notice that they shift and it starts going south and they're not responding the way they were, or in yourself, you start noticing all of a sudden you just withdrew and you closed up, and all they did was say a word. All they did was trigger one thing that took you back to that lower part of the brain. Then, having armed with this information, you can then, I'm going to back up here a little bit, that's better. Armed with this information, you can then say some words, consciously choose words that feel better, just like we talked about last week, that'll bring you up to this part of the brain. So there's a toggling going on, and of course it's a practice. And once it can become habituated, then all kinds of relationships change in less than 10 seconds. For instance, you're at a business meeting, and It's very easy to notice that the conversation is not going the way you'd like it to. You can become more and more aware of the kinds of words that are going to bring everybody in the room up to the prefrontal cortex. And with your loved ones, with yourself, you're in a relationship, and he says something or she says something that makes you suddenly angry. If your partner knows about this concept, then they can immediately recognize, oh, something just triggered her, and change the words and change the dialogue so that the prefrontal cortex gets triggered. And you don't stop the conversation and make believe it never happened, but you can have it from a place of expansive, open-hearted clarity. So the name of my business, as most of you know, is In the Blink of an Eye. And it's because in Rapid Eye and in the world right now with all the studies that are going on, we really are learning that things can happen instantly. You know, old energy, the old world, what we knew best then, took time, sometimes years, a lifetime, maybe never happened. But now things are happening really quickly. I'm going to start talking. What do you mean? Yourself. You're saying to yourself in your mind, okay, are you going to start talking? There's a question here. I'm hoping you're hearing me. I don't know. Anyway, that must have been earlier when I didn't know I was on. So I have a question here. What do you mean with the relationship with yourself? Well, of course, that means how you relate to yourself. Is that your self-talk? Yes. You can notice when you're talking to yourself and you start going down into those heavier, sad places, grief or anger or any of those emotions, those feelings that take you from joy to not joy. Now you get to know that, okay, this part of the brain just got triggered by some thoughts and words. Actually, words and thoughts is the proper order. And so if you spend some time, and if you can't do it yourself, because sometimes we can be in such a funk that we're not able to pull ourselves out of it, then turn something on. Listen to an Abraham Hicks. Listen to your favorite teacher. Listen to someone that's going to say some words that are going to get you to toggle up to that front prefrontal cortex and change the brain activity. Because then you have so much more control. You have so much more command and empowerment over how you're feeling. So these are all energy management tools that are changing people's lives every day. And our relationships, of course, are really what life is about. Relationship to everything. And as we start to learn to habituate this toggling from the back of the brain to the front of the brain, it happens less and less. The need for it happens less and less. We start staying up here in the prefrontal more. And we start noticing we become less reactive when we're in conversations and someone says something. Rather than reacting ourselves, rather than letting it trigger our amygdala and limbic center and react suddenly in a way that doesn't benefit, we can know, oh, they're just in that part of their brain. I don't need to react to that. I can stay up here in my prefrontal, continue speaking the words from that place, and help that person toggle back up to the front, to the happy place, right? This is that happy place, prefrontal. So having said all that, important management tool. However, again, I'm going to refer back to Rapid Eye Technology. And by the way, before we get off of that, I urge you to listen to Lynn Christian. Her Facebook Live is happening at 9:30. I'll make sure that we're offering plenty of time for you to get into that. Lynn Christian, Soul Salt Inc. Because she's going to talk in detail about this conversational intelligence, about this process of toggling from the amygdala and the limbic up to the prefrontal and the frontal. And she knows so much more about it than I do. She'll explain it in more detail. And I think it's a valuable tool for our conversation, our relationship, and our experience in the world. So please, I urge you, listen, 9:30, Lynn Christian, Facebook Live, Soul Salt Inc. And if you can't make it at 9:30, then make a note to go back and look for it later. Okay, so having said all that, amazing tools that are changing our lives. And they don't heal. They're not healing the actual, hold on, another question. So in talking to yourself, is that how you can create the stuff you want in your life? In talking to ourselves, that's one of the ways we can create the stuff that we want in our life. Because when we talk to ourselves in a way that moves us from the lower vibratory of the back of the brain to the higher vibratory reactions of the front of the brain, as we do that, as we talk to ourselves in a way that raises our vibration, then we begin to emanate a vibration into the world that matches the vibration of those things that we want, the stuff, as she says, that we want. So yes, talking to ourselves is probably the number one top of the list tools for creating stuff in our lives that we want. Because of course, it creates vibration. And every single thing is about vibrational frequency, including this whole deal of toggling from the limbic center to the prefrontal. Because when you're back there in the amygdala, your vibration is low. And so you will send out a vibration that is going to match, like attracts like, and will bring you other people, other experiences that are at that lower vibration. And what that's going to do is simply deepen and increase your belief that this is how life is and this is how the world is. When you're toggling and you're up here in the prefrontal and you're vibrating at the higher rate, the rate of joy, the rate that everything works out for me, Abraham Hicks, everything always works out for me. You're going to send that vibration out, like attracts like, and things are going to start working out for you. People are going to show up, circumstances are going to happen, things you may not even imagine will come in to match the vibration of those words. So yes, the answer is, when you talk to yourself, that is how you create the stuff you want. So we can do this on overcoming struggles that we're having. Okay, so that's where I was about to go. We can, but it's an energy management tool. When we're having struggles that continue, and when we have relationships, right? We were just talking about the patterns in our relationships, and we use this toggling to help change the relationship in the moment. However, when there are struggles and patterns that are repetitive and continuous, and even though in the moment we can toggle to that prefrontal and feel better, a couple hours later, a day later, we're back stuck in the old pattern, in that old struggle, the challenges. It's because there is something that needs to be healed. Right? And these tools that we're learning don't heal necessarily. They help you manage and they help you make the changes you want. However, for the long-term effect to have the struggles and the patterns not present themselves again, there's a healing, a little healing that needs to take place. And that's why I love Rapid Eye, because again, it can happen very quickly, but it does have to be addressed. We can't just say, okay, I'm going to think this happy word and the struggle's going to go away forever. No, I'm going to think this happy word and I'll feel better now for a while. And I'm going to be smart enough to know that I cannot, because that happened in the last 20 years, that I cannot get myself out of this stuck place. That I need to find someone, a practitioner, a practice, a technique that can vibrate at a rate that is outside of my experience and that can get me unstuck. Because what that usually means, let's go back to the relationship issue, right? That's what today's theme was about. So you're in a relationship with your spouse, your significant other, and you learn this toggling technique, and it really helps the conversation, and the communication, the relationship thrives and it changes. And there is a pattern that you still revert back to. You still find yourself feeling abandoned because he wants to go out with the guys on Friday night, or feeling abandoned because he wasn't right there being able to give you the compassion you needed in the moment you needed it. And that's because in that moment, you're not your adult self. In that moment, when you have that reaction, what that usually means is that your little girl, that little girl that was 5 years old and daddy left us and never came home, just got triggered. The amygdala opened up, the limbic center woke up, and that little 5-year-old girl came dancing out, and she felt abandoned and left alone and rejected and unloved. And really, all he wanted to do was have a night out with the boys. Or he was too busy at work at that moment to speak to you on the phone and give you the love that you needed. And intellectually, you may know that. But vibrationally and how you feel, you're that 5-year-old little girl being rejected and abandoned. That needs healing. That's not going to change with changing a thought or changing a word. In the moment it can. You can toggle up to the prefrontal and make yourself feel better, but the pattern that returns is the pattern that needs to be addressed. It's an inner child that just needs what she didn't get. And with Rapid Eye, it happens. So I highly suggest, if you're listening to this and you notice that there are places in your relationships where you're stuck, where there's a pattern that just keeps coming back over and over again, and no matter what you do to fix it, you can't. It really just is an inner child giving you a really strong message that I need some attention. Give me the attention I need, and I'll set you free. And then you see the pattern really does begin to change. It's quite fascinating, and it doesn't take long. Okay, so let's see. Let me make sure I have all these questions answered. So can we do this on overcoming struggles that we're having? Okay, that was the answer. Yes, it helps us to overcome struggles. However, long-term, permanently, if it's a pattern and you're stuck, you need more than a change of a word. So saying something to myself like, everything works out for me beautifully, perfectly, and with ease, that's a lovely statement. Everything works out for me beautifully, perfectly, and with ease. Yes, yes, that's Kate Allen, by the way. Yes, that's a beautiful statement. And it can help tremendously. It's exactly the kind of thing that can get you from that limbic center up to the prefrontal. Yep, for sure. And will it heal a pattern? Will it heal an inner child permanently and forever? No. But it will help you manage your life and become empowered and be able to enjoy the day and get up to that prefrontal cortex where you can see more clearly of, oh, I have this pattern, I have this struggle. Let me find somebody that can help me get rid of that because I want to stay here. I don't want to have to keep going back and forth. I don't want to keep going. We all know people, I may be talking to one of you right now, who life up and down, right? A couple of days I'm happy, next few days I'm miserable. Next minute I'm happy, a few minutes later I'm miserable. Right? That's the pattern that's tough, right? We want that to get more even, or even just continually getting better and better. And all these tools help that happen, along with the kind of healing techniques and modalities like Rapid Eye that can get the pattern just cleared. So the new pattern of toggling up to the front becomes the new way of being. Okay, I'm going to close up now with a special offer. It's the first time I've made an offer to do groups at this rate. This is a special Facebook Live rate, and I'm offering it through the month of April, so I'll make the announcement a few more times. I'm offering a group rate at $59.99 for Rapid Eye Technology sessions. They'll take place in my office. That's in Sugar House. I'll give the details to those of you who contact me. I'll be posting my website. It's right on the front page. I have a sign-up page. You can sign up and send me your email, and I'll send you the information. So Group Rapid Eye Technology is phenomenally potent. You get the benefit not only of having Rapid Eye, but you also get the benefit of having a number of people in the group raising the power of what's happening. So the dynamic in the room becomes very alive, and the ability to release and to take in new information is magnified because there is power in numbers. The difference there, of course, is that there isn't one-on-one coaching with me. However, if that's something you want, that always can be arranged. But the point here is that this is actually a very special offer. It's I never have offered groups at this rate. $59.99 a session in my office, and yeah, watch things change. Okay, so I'll send the link, and I think that completes it. If there's no more questions, thank you so much again for your attention. And remember, please watch Lynn so you can learn more, really become a master of habitually getting yourself up to that prefrontal cortex. Because life is good. And if it doesn't feel like that and you don't believe that, then there's lots of easy things you can do to make that happen. Okay, I hope to hear from you. Send me your email. Join my group. Those are powerful sessions. Right? Blessings, blessings. Oh, one more thing. Don't go away. This Thursday, the 28th, I believe. What's today? Today's the 28th, 29th, 30th. Thursday, the 30th. In the afternoon, I'm having a special edition of Facebook Live. I'm having Tuesdays with Paula on Thursday afternoon with Reagan Archibald of East West Acupuncture Center. He's a phenomenal healer, very, very popular and well-known here in the Valley. So please tune in or be on the lookout for that Facebook Live. It'll be Thursday afternoon at 4:30. Okay, blessings. Have a miraculous week. Bye-bye.